been putting together a list.
Oh no.
There's one year that just clusters everything so wonderfully.
What year?
1970. Greetings, all our friends out there in YouTube land. We're
in a different little setup, aren't we?
yeah, things have kind of moved around a little bit, but hey ho, we're still the way we always were. So yeah, what are we going to do? So I was thinking like of putting together a top 10 of 1970, and Tara decided to put together a top 10 of 1970. So instead what we've done is we've put together the top 20 of 1970 that we think everyone should have in their collection. Okay, so it's not just prog, it kind of goes into all sorts of other areas, and rock and all sorts of bits and bobs. We haven't done them in any order.
No, there's too much, like, it's too much.
And by the way, we couldn't even get them into 20, so it's the top 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, off you go.
Well, I can see a mark on that screen. Is it on the phone?
Yeah, it's just the little sun on the focus thing.
Okay, so that's not, yeah, okay, good. Sorry, I thought it was disrupting my beautiful face coming across. So 1970, very interesting year, very good. We've had a look at a few years, actually. All this started when we did 50 years ago today, and it was 1974, and we just thought what a fantastic year it was when we looked at it. So, but we've been kind of putting together an idea of kind of how in the name of hell did the music business produce such fantastic pieces of art during this period of time, from the late 60s onwards. So we started to examine 1969 as a year when there was an awful lot of kind of different genres coming out of music, and it was kind of establishing itself in different areas. And we looked at 1967 as being the kind of big bang year, that kind of
1969
or 1967. We looked at 69 first.
Did we do 67?
We did, yeah. So we did. I don't know what to do.
Tara's not here right now.
I don't know what to do with her. She's like that sometimes. I try and do my best for her. But yeah, so we looked at 1967 as the big bang year, that an awful lot of creativity and everything became part of the music business, and it was the first year where you could really see things moving beyond that kind of standardised Tin Pan Alley verses and choruses and kind of stuff like that, and things started to become this kind of creative space that then kind of went out into all these different areas in 69. So 1970 then was an area where all those things from 69 started to cluster, I think, into things. And yeah, so without further ado, let's kick off. So we're looking at the kind of the albums, and we're going to kind of try and see which one of these clusters each one of them goes into. Okay, caught her this time, right? So we've got Trespass by Genesis. Okay, the cover of it and everything says it all. It's designed like a storybook. So here we have this kind of Englishness, European kind of orchestral design to the music. Absolutely fantastic album. Love this album. One of my all-time favourites, I have to say. It's the first album I ever heard with Peter Gabriel on it. I just think Stagnation is an absolute incredible piece of music. Like, you know,
amongst the weeds and slimy.
Bitter minnows. But there we go. Yeah, fantastic album. So kicking off with Trespass. Okay.
And we had David Bowie come out with The Man Who Sold the World, which is a very total staple in most collections, isn't it? I mean, it was covered then later in the 90s by Nirvana, and kind of it's just been going around in the musical scene ever since it came out.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking album.
Yeah.
Fantastic lyrics.
Yeah.
Thought-provoking stuff. Your typical innovative music from David Bowie.
Yeah, and it's like the kind of singer-songwriter thing gone to its extreme, isn't it, Bowie?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So my second one of 1970 is Let It Be by the Beatles. Remember I bought this and put it on and I was just thinking, stop, because I was exhausted from listening to its goodness.
I can't take it.
I do like this album. It's, it's not as perfect as some of their other albums, but a fantastic album, and although it wasn't the last album they recorded, it was the bowing out of the Fab Four, and
Bit of
just
a bittersweet kind of thing.
bittersweet, and it has its little place in history, and a fantastic album it is. Yeah. So that's the kind of passing of the torch, the old crowd would say.
One of the best live albums ever. Live at Leeds by The Who.
She's got a thing about the Who.
I've been in love with Roger Daltrey since I was a child, so someday I won't give up on you, Roger.
Roger, if you're out there, write her a letter or something, for God's sake. Yeah.
Rockin', absolutely rockin'. You can hear their bluesy influence in here a lot. I love the way Roger kind of riffs vocally with Pete over his guitar. It's like I said, it's so bluesy, but they just know how to rock it as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't it really interesting with the Who when you look at it? Because they spend the 60s, not 67, they go into what's the name of it, Sell Out. Okay, then they go on to produce something like Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of moving it, they're looking at conceptual art rock and everything, and then they go to they have the collapse of this Lifehouse project, and everything, and they're coming out with all sorts of stuff, but Live at Leeds is a real return to kind of that kind of heavy blues rock, and it's kind of heavier than it would have been in the old days, which is kind of a sign of the times of what was happening in 1970.
Yeah.
Because we can see kind of the birth of progressive rock, and we can see the birth of kind of heavy rock in 1970.
Yeah.
So the clusters are beginning to form.
Yeah,
see, she's getting it now.
I wish it was longer. That's it. And there's a lot of songs on here that, like Magic Bus and all that. I mean, come on, you could have put in something else like.
Actually, don't worry about it. It's fine. We all have our favourites. You can't have them all on the album. And I find that most live albums are good but flawed.
Yeah.
I know we were looking at live albums one time. I was talking about Genesis and which live album would you put in. And I was talking about the first one, Genesis Live, and then I was talking about Seconds Out. And I didn't go to the other one, Three Sides Live, because it's a bit too...
It's a sensitive subject.
They were starting. Well, they had gone pretty bad by that. But I had a great chat in the comments with some people, and keep the comments coming because we're learning a hell of a lot ourselves here.
Absolutely.
This is brilliant. We're talking to people who've seen some of these bands live in their heydays and all sorts of different insights and stuff. Some of the videos I could go back and redo them again with the kind of insights that I've got from some of the people that we've spoken to in the comments.
Yeah.
Sorry, the cat of Prog is making noise here. Okay, so continuing on that kind of singer-songwriter thing, we've got Tumbleweed Connection by Elton John.
Yeah.
I think it's a great album.
Good.
Really good album. One of his best albums. And I suppose when I say him, Elton John wasn't really just one guy, and I think when he kind of thought that or went down that alley, it was kind of the seeds of his own destruction. But you had Elton, Bernie and the band here, and fantastic album, really good album. It's kind of going into that Americana thing, even though they're two British guys writing the music, but it's kind of almost like a tribute to what this kind of Americana thing that we saw emerging in '69 coming out. So brilliant, yeah, very good.
Oh.
God, this must be great.
I'll pull this, I'll get you to hold that one because they both came out in 1970.
What? How
the lads were on fire.
How fantastic
Jesus,
is that?
two absolutely fantastic albums through and through. They've made their mark big time here.
Yeah.
And I adore both.
I mean, this one sets the stage really, and that just
blows you
The
out
first
of
time I
water.
saw them live, they opened with Killers. And I'd never heard Killers on an album or anything at that point, and they just came out with this thing, da, 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 and the whole place shaking with the noise. I was like, oh my god, what's this like?
Imagine Peter Hamill live, I'm so jealous.
Well, don't worry about it. But there you go, so that's...
Two absolutely
fantastic.
brilliant albums
Yeah.
in the 1 year. I mean, like, you know, I know a good few bands have done that. They've brought out multiple albums in the 1 year. And I mean, what a skill.
But this wasn't just like bringing out 2 albums in 1 year. This was kind of setting the stage for their career.
Yeah.
So like again, like we were in this prog space. So we've Genesis Trespass with this lovely pastoral kind of feel to it, and then we have the lads here. Again, it's very kind of you know, there's an Englishness about it, and there's this progginess about it, but there's a darkness that especially kind of gets formed on this, but then gets taken home on that, like, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, fantastic.
Paul Whitehead again, doing his magic, working his magic.
What a man, what an artist.
Yes.
Yeah, John Lennon, the Plastic Ono Band. What can I say about this? I mean, before we did the video, I was just saying to Tara, I really do like this album because it's sparse. There isn't a spare note on this thing. Very introspective. I just love it. I just think it's a great piece of work, and he was kind of setting out his stall, I think, with the Beatles imploding on itself, and it's I don't know. What can I say about it? I put it on, and it doesn't really go to my head. It kind of more hits me in the gut.
Yeah.
To be honest, like. I very rarely pick it out. When I do pick it out and put it on, I'm always kind of left at the end of it going, my God, why don't I listen to that more?
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, it's a fabulous album. You know, you've got Mother and Working Class Hero, and you know, it's just fabulous. And again, it's Lennon like showing his chops as an individual songwriter.
Yeah, he was songwriter. I mean, those lyrics on that album are just crazy emotional.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
like.
and I think we had, you know, we were seeing in '69 too that kind of, like I said, the kind of Americana thing, and the singer-songwriter, the Laurel Canyon group of musicians were coming out and becoming kind of mainstream. You get into 1970 then, and you know, Lennon is even saying, well, you know, why don't I show my chops as one of these singer-songwriters? My God, he does on this album. Fabulous thing. So yeah, there you go.
Now,
Oh my God.
Giant by Gentle Giant.
What an album.
Oh,
What
Hammond
an
organ to the max. It's just absolutely brilliant. Yeah, they, as a band, they just were so cohesive.
Do you know what's coming across to me, Tara? We're looking at 1970, and it's kind of the foundation of prog, okay?
Yeah.
So we could see like the kind of albums that started the ball rolling in '69. But 1970, we're seeing prog emerge as something, okay?
Yeah.
What was later to be known as prog, I think it was called art rock or something at the time. But what we're seeing is this prog is emerging, but each one of these bands is very different to each other.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, I mean, they're miles apart, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still kind of sparse on the ground, but it's miles. They're all very different bands. Like,
Absolutely.
and extremely creative.
Oh my God, like off the charts. It's just crazy to think about. I mean, look at us as we evolve and move into the future, and technology is amazing and everything. I'd go back there any day.
Yeah.
Absolutely great album. Even the artwork on this is brilliant, where the giant is holding the lads. Absolutely so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just went on then to really make some fantastic music after this as well. So yay.
Yeah. So we're looking at like the foundations of what was to come, you know.
Yeah.
The trouble is, you see, the great thing is it's like a kind of a new frontier here. And when something's a new frontier and it's unexplored, there is no normal.
I know.
So everything goes, you know, and anything goes. And that's what we're really seeing here. Morrison Hotel by The Doors. I recently saw a documentary on this and I thought it was brilliant. I don't know what channel it was on, but it was on the television and it was great. And the guy who took the photo was on it and he said they wouldn't let him take the photo, and the guy behind the desk said no photo. And then he went up in the lift and he ran outside and said to the lads, go in the window, go in the window, I'll take the photo. Brilliant album, I love this album. It's not one that kind of like I can pick out one song and say, oh, I love this or I love that, but there's a kind of a feel to it, you know. So you've side one, the Hard Rock Cafe, and then side two, Morrison Hotel. I don't know, do I prefer side two or side one? I don't know. It just goes on, and they're all kind of shorter songs, and it's kind of going back to the roots a little bit after the Soft Parade in '69. So the Soft Parade was very kind of, I don't know, we were looking at it in our '69 video, and it's one of their albums that I think is one of the best things they ever did.
Oh, yeah.
And this one then is kind of, you know, let's kind of strip it back and go back and be a bit more back to basics with what we do. But fantastic album nonetheless, still has some great kind of moments. There's something kind of thought-provoking about a lot of what Morrison wrote about these lyrics and things that I think is always there, no matter what way the music goes. Yeah. So yeah, Morrison Hotel, great album.
Very heavy, very humble. Hard rock meets prog.
Yeah.
Was Uriah Heep like all over. And talk about Hammond organ, they really like, Jesus. Yeah. They went hell for leather with the Hammond organ playing off against the guitar, like great stuff. Great starting point. Obviously what was to come after was incredible. Like, but this is just a really, really solid album, like.
It is.
You know, rock and roll. I was only 17. I fell in love with the gypsy queen. I'm always trying to take off David Byron. I apologise.
Doesn't work. Sorry.
No.
Sorry, spirit of David Byron, if you're listening. But yeah, I mean, in this year, like we said, we have the like kind of amalgamation of hard rock.
Yeah.
That is one of the core albums.
Absolutely.
That sets hard
they
rock. They
were one of the core bands in general when it came to that stuff, like, and we forget about that quite often.
We do.
But yeah,
fabulous.
Heap.
Yeah, great album. So I'm going off then into my jazz, and please, if you're not into kind of really letting your mind go, you know, don't run it at this album. It's a fantastic album. Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. It's the real kind of electric version of jazz. It comes of age. It's an amalgamation between, I suppose, festival rock and jazz, and it's an absolute masterpiece. I liken this to James Joyce's Ulysses as an album. It should be one that you should only listen to when you're ready.
I learned that lesson.
Don't try and take the whole thing in one big bite. Neither, just kind of listen to some bits and pieces of it as you go through it. I would recommend, if you haven't tried the album, kind of start with record 2, probably side 2. Miles Runs the Voodoo Down and Sanctuary. 2 fantastic tracks. Marvellous album, absolutely love it. Love the cover art and everything that goes with it as well. And it's a real statement. It's a statement.
It's so intense.
It's innovative. It is unlike anything else you're going to listen to. I'm a bit of a Davis fan. I won't say like I'm a real Davis fan, because if I was, I'd be gone crazy. But I do really like this album. It's one that I put on now and again, especially if I'm working and I have it on in the background. I can kind of think about things. Makes me think in different ways.
Yeah.
Miles is thinking in different dimensions. He's taking me off with him on his journey. Yeah, fabulous album. Brilliant.
No, he put it on for me one day and I was sitting there like, no, I'm not ready, Dad. I'm not ready.
Yeah, I lulled her into a false sense of security.
No.
I told her it was one of the influences on Relayer by Yes.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, brilliant, yeah, throw that on. Jesus.
Yeah, well, it happens. Ah, yes.
Do it. Yeah, that's where Ian Curtis definitely got it from.
Mr. Chapman.
Absolutely, like Family, a song for me.
Yeah, what a fantastic album.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fantastic. They're so overlooked.
Well, we've had a couple of comments like saying we should do something on Family. Like we've a few Family albums.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, an amazing band that just don't seem to get talked about enough. I mean, Mr. Graham Chapman's vocals are just kind of on another level.
Yeah.
The whole band, John Wetton was with the band for a while. Well, who wasn't John Wetton?
Yeah, that's just standard.
Yeah, I was just thinking he was with Uriah Heep as well. But yeah, I mean, an amazing band. Kind of tended to play shorter songs and tried to have hit singles. I think that kind of went against them.
Yeah.
But no, I think that to me is one of their masterpieces. I think A Song for Me is an amazing album.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so it's my go. So from Bitches Brew to an album with its cover influenced by Bitches Brew, which is Abraxas by Santana. Now, I don't know what it is. No, Abraxas used to be the only Santana album. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, actually.
I mean, this was the only Santana album I had for years, and it was same. All my friends only had this album, and everybody only had this album. And I think it was talking to you that you said to me one day, "Oh, the first album is great," and you went and bought it. Sorry, and then it's sort of the excitement, and then I bought it, and I was thinking, God, you know, that is fantastic, and then like I started going into this. Oh no, I had Moonflower at one point as well. I don't know what happened to that. But yeah, I started to go into this journey with Santana, and by God, it is a journey. What a band! But Abraxas was an amazing album because the first album is more kind of jamming and based on the live show, and with this, like we see them emerging as kind of songwriters, and something very interesting is starting to happen in this band. They were kind of progressing and evolving extremely quickly.
Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So yeah, Abraxas by Santana. What a fantastic album! Yeah.
Oh, Psychedelia, Gong, Magic Brother, Mystic Sister.
Oh.
A good starting point.
Yeah.
For them, absolutely. Like again, what was to come after was just mind blowing, but it's still a really good album. I absolutely love Gong. I've said that a billion times on this channel, so I won't go into my little rant or anything about no one knows who Gong are. But yeah, another fantastic band emerging at the time.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a bit jammy and things, that album, but then again it would be because it's kind of
they're
the
just
first album.
finding their feet on this
yeah.
one. But it's still pretty solid.
Yeah,
like, so,
yeah. Good album, good choice. Let's see, The Grateful Dead, American Beauty. So what do you do when the 60s is over and you can't, kind of keep selling yourself as psychedelia and everything like that? Well, you start going in other directions, and it's a fantastic album because it's really in that kind of Americana singer-songwriter space and everything like this, and they go into this kind of more pastoral. But it's very interesting because like the pastoral thing in England has this kind of evocation of these rolling hills and fields, whereas in the States it's different. It's almost like it's such a vast country, I suppose. It's just like this idea of vastness and different things, you know, Sugar Magnolia, Box of Rain, Truckin', of course, you know. There's always a sense of travel, I think, with anything that evokes America to me, you know. Fantastic album. I really like this one. I put it on now and again, and just kind of, it's one of these things that I'd have in the background. It's not really kind of full on, but like it's a fantastic little listen at times. Yeah. So brilliant. Yeah.
Well, here's something that is very full on. Home by Procal Ha.
Probably my favourite Procal Ha album.
So evil.
Yeah, it's dark.
I love it. Like it's just.
Piggy Pig.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think when you know, like we would have grown up watching things like The Butcher Boy and movies like that here in Ireland, and this really, really takes me to that kind of cinematic universe. Like A Clockwork Orange and everything it reminds me of. So
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
Very dark, very progressive album too.
Yeah, yeah. You know? Like, I mean, you know, we're just talking about other people finding their feet and everything. This is like incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's an amazing
fantastic
album.
album.
Yeah. I'd recommend that to anybody.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
It really is, like, you know,
great.
especially the second side of it.
Oh my god, like, brilliant.
Okay, so here we have the cow. What was her name? Daisy Bell, was it? Or
Daisy, or yeah, it was
something
Daisy.
like that. Fantastic. Atom Heart Mother. Absolutely groundbreaking album.
Yeah.
One of the first kind of sidelong prog epics, you know. I mean, we just had Procal Ha, a man who kind of in '68 seemed to kind of put that to rest and put the structure in place for that, but it wasn't really like something that seemed to be like all over the place very quickly. But Atom Heart Mother was one of the albums that kind of promoted that format, I think.
Yeah.
I love side one of this. I absolutely love it. I was driving yesterday, I was going to work in the car and I had the MP3 player on and Atom Heart Mother came on. And I just lit up in the car with this thing. It's fantastic. And yeah, I like the second side as well. I think this is one of their best albums. Really strong album, I think, from a songwriting point of view.
Absolutely.
You know? So you've got the kind of brass orchestra, choir meets Pink Floyd, and I think it works quite well. And I love that they just did it once and then went off again and did something else. Fabulous. But yeah, brilliant album, Atom Heart Mother.
Yeah. Super Tramp, self-titled. It's grand, like, you know, I wouldn't be jumping to put it on. Like, you know, I've listened to it a few times and I'm like, yeah.
That was the only Super Tramp album I had for years. A fella gave it to me for nothing.
Yeah.
And
I know. Because it was his collection I'd always go to when I'd discover a new band and I'd go, does he have any of them? And I remember I saw a rerun of the old Grey Whistle Test was on the television one day and I was watching them do Goodbye Stranger. And I thought, Jesus, that's unreal. So I went to Dad's collection and this was the only album and I was like, oh.
Hey, what do you mean, oh?
No, because I don't want to sound, it is a good album, I don't want to sound mean, just, you know, like I said before, compared to what came after it.
Yeah, but I would say it's the only album that they did that's 100% in the progressive space.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other ones have a kind of sophisti-pop feel to them, you know. You know, when I was young, I wouldn't have regarded Supertramp as progressive. We seem to be kind of opening the tent to an awful lot these days, you know. But I would say like that's 100% progressive. They're laying out, you know, what they intended to do, and they kind of I mean the lineup changed and everything, but they kind of drew it in a bit after that. And I mean I think they're a fabulous band. I think the other albums are fabulous. I think they had a trilogy of albums there that were just amazing. Like, well, a quadrilogy, like I suppose. You know, from Crime of the Century to Breakfast in America. That quadrilogy of albums are just wonderful to listen to. But I do think that's a very good album too.
It is, like, it is. It just wouldn't be my go-to.
I got her around again. Okay, don't think you can do that in the comments, by the way, with me. Your opinion is yours and you've every right to, and I love it, and my opinion is mine, and I'm just giving you mine. Okay, so Benefit by Jethro Tull. Speaking of opinions and things, we did a video on Jethro Tull, and I wasn't too enthusiastic about this album, but like I'm not negative on it. A lot of people kind of seem to come back going, oh, I really like that album, and I do. I like the album. I think it's a consolidation of stand up, though. I think it is like stand up part 2, but done a little bit more professionally and things. So yeah, I mean, a very good album, and this here we see, like, again, we're looking at that kind of prog space, if you could even call this prog. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it sounds.
I don't know
very
what
prog,
it is.
to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, what is it? It's more like in the kind of family.
Yeah, actually, when you say that, it's
kind
just
of
like this
albums.
bluesy rock folk kind of thing coming together.
Yeah, so I mean, you know,
But
I
still
I
good,
think
like.
it was only really Aqualung that they kind of moved into the prog space in. But
Yeah.
this reminds me more of whatever you'd put Family and maybe Procal Ha and these people in, you know. But fantastic, great album, and anything we're holding up here, we're recommending that you should have in
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
collection from 1970. Cool, right, let's go.
Ooh, early, yes. Time in a Word. Yeah, it was a big album for me when I was growing up. Like, you know, I used to be listening to it all the time. Dane was one of my, like, top songs for years there. So it's a very, fun times thing for me to listen to now. And yeah, it's a good album. Again, what came after it was just mind-blowing. But it's still a really nice one to put on and just chill out.
I like
with,
the album,
like,
I
you
really
know,
do.
yeah.
I love the photography on the back. I think it was Aubrey Powell took the photos, was it? No,
That's the cover of that is one of my favourite covers ever.
yeah, it's a cool cover.
think it's
They
brilliant.
didn't use it in America, apparently.
No, I didn't.
But I love the photography on the back. I think it's just fabulous. But yeah, I love the way it just kicks off with no opportunities necessary. The Prophet is great. What else? Astral Traveler, I love. Yeah, Dane, Clear Days. Yeah, fabulous, great album, really good album. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see. Well, they wouldn't have become who they became if they'd stayed with that lineup, I suppose. You know, so
Oh,
we've already had Very Heavy, Very Umbo by Uriah Heep. So the next one, and the one that was kind of consolidating that hard rock thing, is Paranoid by Black Sabbath. This is. How can I put it? It stands out. It's one of the most amazing records I've ever heard.
yeah.
It is just amazing.
It is,
I mean,
yeah,
how
yeah.
these four guys from Birmingham pulled this album off, I'll never know.
Yeah.
I'll never know. I mean, you know, you could listen to the first one and say, oh yeah, the roots of it there. Yeah, they had. But this is just...
Incredible,
I mean,
like.
my God,
Yeah.
you know. This is kind of almost saying to the old guard, your days are over, get lost, this is the future, we are it, this is it, and it's dark and it's black, and the effect this album has had, you know, it spawned a whole genre in its own right,
Yeah.
I think, so fantastic, love it. Paranoid by Black Sabbath, don't like the cover even though Tara does, because she had shoes with that on it.
Oh.
Cool.
Question of Balance by the Moody Blues.
You have to hold that way, don't you?
Sorry, I can't see with the light shining on the plastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely great album again. I mean, you know, this was part of the core 7 albums that they brought out, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. That's probably because it gets very dark near the end. So
It does. It's an album. It's an album that I kind of at first listened to and went, "My God, you know, some of this is so dark," and then some of it is really kind of tripping through the trees and with your bare feet on the lawn. Yes, yeah. And I was thinking, Jesus, what is this? But there's nothing wrong with that.
no.
And the more I listen to it, the more I like it. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just. It's a fabulous album. It is a fabulous album.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Great writing on it. Mike Pinder again leaving his mark big time.
Yeah.
His song Melancholy Man is one of my all-time favourites, like, that they did. So yeah, I highly recommend
Yeah.
getting the core 7 album.
Well, that's it. I was
in
going to
general,
say,
like.
you know, if you can't buy one Moody Blues album. You have to buy those first 7.
Yeah.
And you can get them very cheap, second hand and everything, because there's loads of them out there.
They're all over the place, actually, yeah.
And they're just fantastic. I mean, you know, and 1970 was no difference. They were trying to kind of pull in the sound to more of a stripped back kind of thing that they could perform live with.
Yeah.
But it fitted in with the how can I put it, the aesthetic of 1970 quite well. So another one from our big rock people. So like so we're in this space where everything is like this kind of rock space as well. So we've had the Uriah Heep one, we've had the Black Sabbath one, then we get into Led Zeppelin with Led Zeppelin 3, and a lot of people kind of regard this as Led Zeppelin's pastoral album, and there's a lot of kind of acoustic and everything on it, which is great. But there's also the Immigrant song. There is also that big blues number on it. What is it? Since I've been loving you. Yeah. You know, that kind of harks back to like where this band came out of.
Yeah.
You know. I think it's an amazing album. This is one of the ones I reach for quite a lot with
Me
Led
too,
Zeppelin.
yeah, absolutely.
An incredible album. God, it was 1970.
Oh my God, like I said, I'd go back there any day over being around these days.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, just imagine having all these albums coming out and you just like...
Just these bands like playing all around you. Like,
Yeah,
and, oh
yeah.
my God. It's not fair!
Yeah, well, both of us missed that one, so there you go. Led Zeppelin 3, yeah.
And another double barrel.
Double act here.
King Crimson, Lizard and In the Wake of Poseidon. Two brilliant albums.
Made under horrendous conditions.
Yeah. They still pulled it out of the bag, like, big time.
So the band falling apart on that and had kind of this thing done with a load of session musicians. But what can I say, Mr. Fripp, fantastic. Two great albums. Which is your favourite, Tara, out of the two of them? That one.
In the Wake
like
of
this
Poseidon.
one.
I just the amount of mellotron and everything on this one, and it's very
it's very melotronic.
it's very dark and kind of sad, and I love that.
Yes, yes, you do. Yes.
And I love the art, and I remember when I listened to it for the first time with you, you were going, "Can you link each song with each face?" And you know, I love interactive.
Well, this is the one that you
like
can link each song to. All
I know.
the games and-
Look, when I listened to Lizard for the first time, I was just like, like, what's happening? What's happening?
Another one with an early sidelong epic on it.
Yeah, and I mean, people always go, "Oh yeah, John Anderson is on that one." Yeah, for like 2 seconds. Look past that for a minute. Because the whole rest of the album is incredible.
Well, here we have bits of, we can listen to Bitches Brew and we can hear bits of kind of the Miles Davis influence in this album as well. And everything. So it's, and there's this kind of jazz influences in it and classical influences and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like I said, what was to be known as progressive rock in 1970 was completely eclectic.
Yeah.
It was fabulous. It was just how artistic can you get on it.
But
So,
imagine being a fan of King Crimson back then, and they've brought out a new album and they're bringing out another one in a couple of months, and they're just one after the other, absolutely brilliant. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, so you have the first album, like within like a very short period of time, you get the first album, you get these two, then you get Islands, and then they stop.
Yeah.
And then they come back then with the other band.
I mean, like, I can't. Unreal.
Yeah, incredible. What can I say? Okay, so still in the big rock, the hard rock area, Deep Purple in rock. Just another fabulous album.
Sorry, I didn't soil myself. That's just what happens when I see that.
Just what an album! What an album! Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like the whole way through
You're
this thing. It's like being on a roller coaster. That someone's lost
so
the handle
accurate,
and it's just gone and you're being dragged around. It's just incredible. I love it all. Everything on here is just amazing. Ian Gillan, his first album with the band and what he brings to the table is just
oh my God,
incredible. The guys they'd been to see Led Zeppelin and they said, we should get in on the hard rock thing and let's give it a shot. And this is what they come out with.
Honest to God, I mean, seriously.
Jesus Christ. And it's got that bluesy thing, but it also kind of leans a bit towards European classical music.
Yeah, and like you said, it has that bluesy thing, and bluesy stuff is kind of slow and kind of but they're it's like nothing you've ever experienced before.
Yeah,
to listen to this.
But you know what? The one thing now that I have to say, Black Sabbath, I saw, I think it was Geezer Butler being interviewed, and he was on about the first Black Sabbath album and that track, Black Sabbath. And he said, where did you get that mixture of notes that makes the riff? And he said, Holt's, Planets, Mares. Do you remember I put it on for you?
Yeah.
And if you listen to In the Wake of Poseidon, you can hear in the title track he's playing parts of that in it as well.
Right.
And I just think Holt's Planets had a huge influence on a lot of what became progressive rock. So that's just one of my.
I think that's really
little
cool
aside.
though, that all those kind of young fellas were listening to all that stuff at the time and kind of applying it to what they wanted to do as well.
Yeah, it was
fantastic,
interesting
you know.
times. I mean, what is all this music? Who is it for? Sorry, do you have more to come?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm out of albums there.
Right, well, I'll pass this one over to you because
Okay.
I know you love it. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Fantastic starting point.
Yeah, we've
I
the
mean,
nice Five Bridges here, by the way. We did that in our 69 albums because it was recorded in 69, but we've left it up because it was released in 1970.
Yeah, no big massive epics on this, like what was to come after with Tarkus and pictures at an exhibition and all, but it still absolutely blows you away, like, you know, like Knife Edge is a banger of a tune, like, and yeah, I mean, they're fantastic musicians. It was just a serious, like, warning of what was to come, like, you know, prepare for what's about to happen to you, like, you know, great album, absolutely brilliant, highly recommend having this.
It's like a series of vignettes, isn't it? You know, so you get the lads come on and they show off. You know, side one you kind of have the band playing together, like a band. Side two, then you get Emerson starting it with the Three Fates. Then you get Tank, which features Carol Palmer, and then you get Lucky Man, which is Greg Lake doing the ballad.
Yeah.
So the lads, you know, it's like, I suppose.
It's like side two of all their other albums, but over a whole album.
Yeah, well, it's almost like kind of, here's what we sound like together, but this is who we are. We're these three amazingly talented individuals, you know, and we're going to showcase ourselves as well as the music of the band. Yes, and what Tara handed it to me, the Chicago too. What a marvellous album.
You knew it was
What
coming.
a marvellous album. I don't know, I mean, I've only kind of discovered Chicago recently, and we must do a video on kind of American albums.
Yeah.
Because I have to say, like, a lot of my life, I kind of wasn't opened to all these American bands and things, and it's only been the last few years that I've really delved into them. I find myself being a huge Chicago fan.
Yeah.
So absolutely huge. I love Chicago too. You know, you've got, let's see, oh Jesus, sure, what can I say? The whole bloody thing is brilliant, you know. Wake Up in the Sunshine. Ballet for, what is it? Ballet for something in Buchanan, is it? A girl in Buchanan, yeah.
I'm terrible at reading.
I'm terrible. I try to read these things and it's so awful. You know, the philosophy is laid out on this panel as to what they were doing with this thing. It's an amazing album. I love this album. Not my favourite Chicago album, but then again, that's not saying that it's bad in any way. It's a fantastic album. Brilliant album. I know a lot of people in the comments go, oh, the first album is brilliant. I like the first album, but it's a different album. All their albums so far that I've had my hands on, they're all different. You know, I mean, the first album and this are extremely different things. They're kind of more into songwriting and things in this, although the songwriting on the first album is very good as well. But you've got 25 or 6 to 4, of course, on this, which was like a big hit for them. Great album. What can I say? Like, just an experience. Chicago are one of these bands that I can put on one of their double albums and just sit through it and just really
because
go
it's
with the flow.
you're just going, Jesus, Jesus, and it's just over before you know it.
Well, at times it's just lovely, and it just takes you into this lovely place. It seems to be a kind of a feeling of parks and sunny days and things in some of the stuff, and then in other bits of it, it's mad.
Yeah.
It just goes into crazy places, and some of it you're kind of blown away by the musicianship, and it's all real in your face, and then other times it's just so subtle.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a beautiful journey. I love Chicago. Yeah, so Chicago too, definitely one on the recommendation list. Yes.
Now,
Is that it?
that's our list.
So there's our list. They're all the albums we think that anyone with a collection of records should have from 1970.
Yeah. I
Please.
think, yeah, when you get into this music, you can't help but kind of analyse the historical events
Context
of
of
that
it, yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Like, and that's why we're doing these videos of
Yeah,
what happened
you know,
this
I
year
mean,
and that year.
Yeah, something happened kind of socially to allow this kind of innovation in music to happen at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's not just a question of, the albums then were good and then they're not good and then they're good. You know, it's not a question of that. Something was happening that was creating a market for incredible works of art on vinyl. So fantastic. But they're just our opinions. They're our 28 must-have albums from 1970. Please feel free to add anything you want to it, or let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll see you all in the next video pretty soon. But remember, subscribe if you're not subscribed, okay?
Yes.
And check us out with some of our other stuff, okay? All the best, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What's up? You good boy. Oh, he's so good. Look at his goodness. Look at that for goodness, huh?